Captain Picard. Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
My Readier Room.
Welcome to the Readier Room, the only and longest-running Star Trek, The Next Generation Rewatch podcast. This is the one brought to you by people who are there to make the show, make the magic, see the magic, and experience making that magic every week. My name is Mitchell Melch, Chief Consultant Services at Paramount. With me is my life partner, Brandon Hobbs. Brandon, how are you doing today?
Oh, Mitch, I'm doing great.
Any reason?
Well, big news.
Okay.
They caught the fella who killed his girlfriend, right?
Yeah, I remember you were following this case with quite an interest.
Yeah. He was a Star Trek fan.
Right. And most killers tend to be.
Yeah, so I have a bit of an interest in following these kinds of what you might call anecdotal stories.
Right. Real anecdotes.
Just trying to collect as many as possible. Just to kind of find like the point where murderers and Star Trek fans converge, you know?
I think that was Deep Space Nine. So there's a lot to be said, I think, about the confluence of these two fan bases, murder and Star Trek, and I think it ends before the convention. I think the people who attend the Star Trek conventions are too weak-willed to go through with murder.
Yes.
But the people who just enjoy Star Trek casually at home are just unhinged enough to do it.
That's a good point. You know, you're only as effective as your Jungian shadow, right?
Right. We say that all the time.
You know, the people going to Star Trek conventions are not embracing that.
We should set up a young panel at the next convention we head up to.
I don't know. We're a little old to be setting up a young panel.
This is true. But, you know, I'm still interested in the young. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love the young. Because, so, I mean, here's what I love about the young. It's that no matter how old I get, the young just stays the same, right?
That's true. You're always able to really dive deep into the young, just as you did 40, 50 years ago.
Oh yeah,
First.
It's nostalgic. Yeah.
Some things never change.
That's true.
In this crazy winding world of ours. So I have an exciting announcement.
What's that?
I am trying both a new latte and a new cookie right now. So So the latte is an Earl Grey tea latte. Now, I just have Earl Grey tea like a certain someone. But apparently the Starbucks sells it in latte form.
Wow.
So I bought that. And I also have a white chocolate macadamia nut cookie here, which is also a new food.
You consider that a new cookie?
What do you consider it?
Well, I've had white chocolate macadamia plenty of times.
Together?
It's like not having an oatmeal cookie, yeah.
Well, here's the thing. This cookie is very soft. It's not a hard cookie.
Well, I stand corrected then.
Yes. So here's what I'm going to do. Live on the podcast, I'm going to attempt to dunk one of these into the other.
Okay.
So I have my mug, and I'm pushing it into the cookie right now.
Okay.
The dunking's not going so well. Let me try this in the opposite order.
Yeah, try it the other way around, and make sure when you go for the taste, make sure we can hear it.
All right, I'm gonna get really close to my microphone. I've dunked.
Okay.
Actually, hold on. Let me dunk live on mic.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
No.
All right. Well, rest assured, I did it. All right. Now I'm gonna eat live on mic. Can you hear me eating?
No, I didn't hear that either.
Oh, I'm gonna eat louder.
A little louder. A little louder.
Can you hear that?
No, your mic is just too good at not picking up eating sounds.
Oh shit. Well, now it's like I didn't even eat it.
It's a shame.
Yeah, I was so. I was so focused.
Did you do the cheese pull?
I did the nut pull.
The nut pull.
Yeah. I was so focused on making eating sounds for the enjoyment of the audience that I forgot to enjoy the cookie. So.
Well, that is kind of the eternal plight of the food critic on YouTube.
It's true,
right? They do it for the audience.
I think they made an animated sitcom about this on Fox, like years ago. Yeah. So this week's question of the week comes from a man named Alex. Actually, that's a good question. Do you think Alex is a man or a woman?
Well, in the spirit of the episode, I would say I am not going to make a judgment on that.
Very prudent. But regardless of what it is, Alex is from Boston. And Alex says, "Hello, Admirals. I think we all make mistakes. Do you have any stories of on-the-set accidents from TNG's production? Any funny boners, perhaps? Thank you for everything you do, Al." All right, well, there we go. You're going to refer to yourself as Al. That's probably a man.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So I have one story. I know you hate when I tell this story, but I got to tell this story.
Well, I think, look, we have lots of boners, okay? I don't know if you need to tell that particular story.
No, it's come on, it's so good. Come on. All right, you're going to love this, you guys at home.
All right.
So, one time, Brandon, in his infinite wisdom, okay, he brought a quadcorder prop to a scene that was written for tricorder. He brought a quadcorder to a tricorder fight. You remember this? I know you do.
Yeah.
The director at the time, he was fucking furious, beside himself. There was so much shouting. I remember he took the quadcorder from the actor you handed it to, and just wailed it right at your head. It was great.
Yep.
So you would think that this is where the story ends, but no, they fired him. They fired Brandon on the spot, and he had the walk of shame out. It was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And this might sound like a pretty heavy thing, but for those of you guys not in the know, directors, producers, they don't know anybody on the crew. You dye your hair, you come in the next day, it's like nothing ever happened. So I'm able to joke about it. Maybe you're not, but
well, I've gotten over it, but it was a traumatic experience. I did have to go to the hospital, and then I had to go to the hairdresser.
Which it seems painful after the hospital.
Yeah. Oh, it's painful.
The thing is about the quadcorders is that each quarter weighs a substantial amount, so the quadcorder is quite a bit heavier than the tricorder.
Well, yeah, which is kind of annoying that if I knew that was going to happen, I wouldn't have lugged it over to set that day.
Right, you would have taken the prudent option with a duocorder.
Right.
Oh, well, but
what are you going to do?
We had many, many such funny boners on the set.
Mm-hmm. Lots of boners.
Lots of boners. And, Alex, you're right. Everybody does make mistakes, It happens. In show business, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But, good question. It's fun to relive the good times. The very good times.
They were okay times.
The before times. before
Yes.
we aged 40 years.
Right. But before we became extremely wealthy from our podcasting career.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Shout outs to the Patreon patrons.
Yes.
No, that's it.
How many admirals do we have?
The Admiral tier?
Yeah.
Let's go see. I know there was a new one recently, so I want to update my my data here. Hold on. It looks like we're at 6 Admirals, which is pretty good for an $800 a month subscription tier.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
Don't worry, guys. Your postcards are in the mail. I know you look forward to those every 2 months, so they're coming.
Yeah, shout out to the Admirals. Thank you so much. It's amazing that, at our age we get to do what we do here every week. And I would go so far as to say it's what keeps me alive.
Yeah, I would say that too. It's definitely what is stringing you along.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so if you want to be like Alex, and have your question answered on a weekly basis, email us at thereadierroom@gmail.com or tweet at us at the Readier Room, or you could even comment on our YouTube channel, The Readier Room, with your question of the week, and if it's good, we'll answer it. Yeah. So that's going to take us to the episode for the week, which is Who Else But Q? Who but Q?
And actually, it's funny because this was going to be the latter episode in a set of episodes. One of them was called Knock Knock. Right. The next one was called Who's There.
Right. Yes.
Right.
It was a rather progressive. It was a bit of writing.
Maurice ended up having to kind of shave it down to one episode, which I guess was probably for the best. Right. It worked out pretty well. God, what an episode! Luckily,
we were able to recycle the ladder concept in a few episodes with Up the Long Ladder.
Yeah. That's right. So God, what to say? This episode is so good.
Yeah, it's rather excellent in just about every bit of it.
And it's interesting because Maurice seems to have kind of a unique idea about how to write Q.
And insofar as what?
Well, so before he was kind of antagonistic. He was devilish, I might say. Kind of interested in just entertaining himself. Whereas in this episode, you sort of see a little glimmer of him having compassion to a degree, at least for the people he likes. And I think this is the episode where the Picard-Q relationship really kicks off.
Yeah, he's certainly a more... he's a deeper character than just in the capricious agent of chaos like he was before.
Right. And... clearly everyone loved Delancey. We loved writing for Delancey. We loved his acting. We there were a lot of things we didn't love, of course, but
right. But with John Delancey, that's just part of the package.
Yeah, but he really shines. Does a great job, of course. Lots of interesting character moments. But I'll leave that vague for now. What were you going to ask?
How do you feel about the exchange of, in exchange for getting a deeper Q, we have a much less silly Q? It's a real question. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. I guess. You know what I think it is? I think this episode is written as such that like it's almost so serious. The plot is so serious that it would be weird to have a silly Q.
Right.
I can't say I missed it too much. I mean, Delancey was silly enough.
Yeah.
So.
That's what the cameras don't show. It's
right.
while the script was tightened up on the seriousness of it all, Delancey was still as off the wall as ever.
Yeah, like for example, we had to rewrite a considerable amount of the opening to this episode because Delancey showed up on set and just refused to wear anything except for his custom-made Starfleet uniform.
I remember that originally it had 5 little circles insignia, and we had to tell him that was meaningless in universe.
That's right. Yeah, no, I don't believe he cared much for the canon of the show, but it was all kind of a pitch from him to work his way into a spot on the main cast, which didn't work, even though we would eventually run out of ideas and have to call him back. But
now, there's, when you're watching this for the first time, there is the possibility that could happen, even if your I don't know, your story writing brain tells you that could never happen.
Mm-hmm.
But how would you feel if things had taken that trajectory and Q had joined the main cast?
It's not a good idea.
I mean, it's not a good idea insofar as you could never have tension again. But
right.
It is a good idea in that you get to see John Delancey pal around with your favorite guys.
If they went the route of obviously taking away his powers, I think Delancey has the charisma to carry a character through several seasons. And there's plenty of character development there to be had, a kind of omnipotent entity having to deal with becoming mortal. I mean, I feel like that's interesting, but
I believe that's everybody's 20s that you're describing.
Yeah, that's kind of true, but it's relatable then, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy entertaining the possibility of this alternate timeline TNG where Q was just there in whatever capacity. But obviously that's not the way it should have been taken, and it wasn't taken that way.
Right. So all's well that ends well, really.
Right. Now, there's a lot to go over here, because this episode, in addition to just being solid, sets up a lot of things.
Yes.
It obviously introduces the Borg. It also kind of fleshes out Guinan in a way that will have the most disappointing payoff of just about anything.
we have almost seemingly apropos of nothing. We have a weird Q and Guinan standoff.
Right. Well, that was apropos of nothing, because when Delancey came on for the table read and you saw Whoopi, that's just what they did.
Yeah. Yes, I do not know how the two of them knew each other,
or what animosity.
We're talking about the actors here. Yeah.
But I think who was it? Was it Brent that said we need to use this because
right.
He saw their kung fu poses that they were doing in the reading room, and he's like, that's perfect, and it made
genius.
Made it to the final cut.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in canon, this is, I think, when we first learn that Guinan is kind of an advanced life form.
Right. But not advanced enough for the Borg.
Yeah, which really makes me it makes me have to think here because Q really the Borg couldn't do anything to Q. Right. But Q kind of treats Guinan as if they're equals to a degree.
But she was at the complete mercy of the Borg.
Right. Yes. So something's not adding up here.
Let's break out the blackboard and do some long division on this. On the power differentials of Guinan's unnamed race and the Q continuum.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do a power level ranking.
Now, I want to ask you about the Borg. How do you feel about the Borg? Just they're very iconic now, and they've seeped into the larger cultural zeitgeist in ways that few things from Star Trek have. But
Yeah.
taken on their own, if you just saw this episode, what do you think of the Borg?
So I think the Borg is, well, obviously they're very informed by Geiger, which is cool. That's a cool aesthetic. I think they have a cool aesthetic, a little cheesy, of course, but there's some body horror in there, which is always just fascinating to me. The idea of a proper threat to the galaxy or whatever is probably much needed, but I can't help but feel a little off about the fact that they pilot a giant cube.
Yeah, it's I want to say good things about it, and then I know the story behind it, and it's like, well, I can't praise this too much. So I'll just get that out of the way. I think the design of the Borg cube was a bet of some sorts between the designers, like the people, putting together designs like that, the costumes, whatever, to see how little effort they could put in and still receive their paycheck.
Right.
And I believe that has set the record. Nobody has done less and received more since then.
No, it's a big box.
Yeah, but you can rationalize this in a lot of ways. Like, oh, it's so alien. It doesn't even look like a ship. It's so completely different from us. But
yeah,
that's cool for a first impression. But this is set up. How many hours of footage of, oh my god, that giant cube is gaining on us, which loses its alienness the more familiar you become with the Borg. And then it looks kind of silly.
The inside of the ship was okay, I guess. I feel like we get a much better set for that in Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah. Well, that's season 3 versus season 2.
Right.
But what I like a lot about the Borg is how their alienness comes through very well in their actions rather than just their design. You can make the ship look like whatever you want, but nothing is going to seem more wrong and out of place than the Borg not even regarding the invading Enterprise officers as or acknowledging them as anything, which is an extremely alien way of thinking. It's like, oh, I'm such a fucking robot that I have no fear of this situation, and until I have sufficient reason to, I'm just not going to regard this as a threat because I know the situation so well.
Right. It shows just a lack of the self-preservation,
right,
you would usually find in an individual of any species, really. I like them conceptually because they really so Star Trek has always been about communication, right? And I think leading up to this episode, there was a lot of kind of proselytizing.
Good word.
Oh yeah, thank you. A lot of kind of holier than thou sort of script writing from the point of view of the crew of the Enterprise and the Federation as a whole. And I like that this forces our main characters to kind of sit down, be humble.
Well, that was Q's whole prerogative, right? It's like, you guys are a little too big for your britches.
Right.
Too big for your bridges.
Every other interaction, and that's the thing, every other interaction with Q so far kind of just ended with Picard lecturing Q about how superior humans are. So I feel like Q wins this one, you know?
Right. And it's nice because, I mean, yeah, Q's arrogant, and that doesn't really gel with what we are accustomed to praising in society. But he's literally an omnipotent being. He should be correct.
Yes, he should be correct.
You
are right about that.
So yeah, it's good, and the episode kind of ends with Picard acknowledging the usefulness of the proceedings.
Right.
Now, I wish that this had not in this episode, but going forward, the omnipresent threat of the Borg was paid more lip service, where there's more dread or more acknowledgement that they're coming, to really hammer home when they do end up showing up again. Right. It's time, and not, we'll forget about this for a season and a half, and now they're here.
Yes. I guess pacing-wise, it's a little weird. Speaking of which, though, it's sort of tangentially related. The Borg, I think we talked about this during the Neutral Zone in Season 1, where they were supposed to show up there.
Yes.
And I like that they didn't, because we get a little bit of continuity we weren't expecting here. And it works so well, where Data
they refer
says,
to this happening at the Neutral Zone.
Yes.
But that begs the question, because the Neutral Zone is very close to Federation space. It's on the border of it. Why haven't the Borg... if they're at the Neutral Zone, why didn't they just invade the Federation space? Or the Romulan space?
Yeah. Now, so this becomes even more complicated by the fact that in Voyager, we learned that humanity already knew about the Borg several years before this episode.
Oh, of course they did.
Yeah, so...
The Enterprise was just staffed by idiots who didn't keep abreast of this.
So I don't know, but yes, I mean, in this, within the same series, that you're right, that is kind of a weird oversight.
Now, obviously, you make those remarks about in the Neutral Zone episode, you're not going to be privy to the ramifications of what will be implied later on. It's not a big deal. I'm not a nitpicker.
It's not the kind of thing. It's not the kind of thing that you really pay attention to, I guess, because I sure didn't.
Hell no. But overall, I think the Borg were a success.
Yeah.
Now, the people, do you know the origin of the name Borg?
It was God, what was his name? The guy in makeup.
The guy in makeup?
Yeah.
Oh, right. That was Al Borgenstein.
Yes, Al. Yeah, he was actually the one who did kind of the finishing touches on the makeup for the Borg in this episode, and we decided to name them after him.
Which is a great little bit of misdirection, because most people think that, they're cyborgs.
Right, yeah. Actually, nothing to do with that.
Couldn't be further from the truth.
And, of course, shout out to Michael, who, was always amazing. But Al really kind of brought it home.
He did. And he lives on in memory. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Every time I see the Borg, I think of Al. Now, he wouldn't be happy about that, because he was very, very unsatisfied with his work on this episode. But, like it or not, it's his legacy.
Mm-hmm. Shame.
Other things this episode introduced. Ensign Gomez.
Ensign Gomez. Yes, yes. At the request of Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick. He didn't quite request like an Ensign Gomez character. He did request a scene where a quote I don't want to say this. Quote, smoking hot Latina spills something on him and has to like rub and dab it off of his body.
Yeah.
And Ensign Gomez was created to fill that void.
Yes, and wow, what a scene, huh?
It certainly leaves your head spinning, and it's crazy to think that the episode starts here with this incredibly stilted conversation between Gomez and Geordi, and this awkward, meet the captain thing. Immediately transitions into a Q, serious tone, heavy episode.
Yeah, there's some dissonance there. I kind of like it. And Lycia Naff, that poor woman. You remember she was supposed to be kind of a recurring character going forward, but we only had her for one more episode.
Yeah, I mean, television is a vast land of supposed to. Television production,
I guess so, but it was kind of just, it didn't need to happen. So, she was an attractive woman, so Maurice hated her. Of course.
Right.
And a lot of the other higher-ups kind of felt like, we haven't really had any Hispanic representation thus far. We haven't needed it. We haven't gotten any letters or anything like that. So, why start now? So she got the axe within a couple episodes. And it's a shame because, if she was just, one or two seasons later down the line, she wouldn't have had to deal with that.
Yeah.
But I like the coffee scene.
Okay. I don't mean to be petty here, but I need you to know and the audience to know that it was actually hot chocolate.
Right, hot chocolate.
Not coffee.
Right, hot chocolate.
I don't think you understand the significance of it. The fact that it's hot chocolate sheds a lot of light on her character. Because she's not ordering coffee because she's, green and young and, inexperienced. So she's still got this immature streak as evidenced by her ordering hot chocolate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Only babies drink hot chocolate.
Exactly. It's a literary device. It's someone's beverage to show where they're at in their
I didn't think that deep. That's interesting.
It's the same reason we had all those cut scenes of Wesley Crusher ordering a soda pop from the replicator.
Right. Well, with him it makes sense. I just didn't pick up on that, but I think the spilling of the hot chocolate, that scene, stood out to me so much because it's sort of rare in this series, at least so far, to find a scene that is so superficially relatable among the main cast.
Superficially relatable, huh?
So you or I could spill hot chocolate on our boss,
Right. Anybody could.
We couldn't, misplace the photon cannons or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like
says the guy who supplied the wrong quadcorder.
Okay. Calm down, Mitch. I just think it was such a down to earth scene. That's all.
It was,
despite taking place in space.
That's due to editing, I think. The original cut had her cleaning up Picard for a solid 7 minutes, which really hurt the relatability of it. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, of course, yeah. But what we end up with is something that's quite a bit more tame.
Thank you, editors. Now, I remember that the scene immediately following this was a bitch to conceptualize, to film.
Which one was that?
That's with Picard and Q, and Picard's got his dirty uniform.
Oh yes, that's right. Speaking of the editors, yeah, we have to use some serious movie magic here, huh?
These things don't just happen, people take it for granted because it's such a small thing.
I know most people don't even notice it, but this took some serious play. So, what happens here is Q kind of moves his hand over Picard's uniform and cleans it up for him.
The hot chocolate.
Yes, the hot chocolate. And we had to do something, I don't know, a little unprecedented here, where we filmed 2 separate versions of the scene. One where Patrick had the stained suit on, and one where he had a new, clean suit on. And what we did was we had editing splice those together, so it just looked like Q kind of did like a magic spell on his uniform. And I would advise all the ensigns listening to not let Delancey tell you any differently.
He will insist on that just not even being in the script and just being him. Mm-hmm. But Delancey is not to be trusted on most matters.
Never.
John the Liar, I always called him. I found it difficult to, think critically about this episode, in the sense that I was watching it again, and of course I've seen it before, but I was just kind of engrossed in it.
Yeah.
Very, just, I have no complaints. I'm into the story. I'm into basically every step of its development. And my mind just wasn't working in the same way. Because there wasn't just a bunch of stupid shit jumping out of nowhere to steal my attention.
I think the thing is there's just so few holes in this episode.
Indeed. You can make a remark about, the Borg costumes don't look amazing. Whatever.
Right, yeah.
They, a bunch of people died on the Enterprise.
Yes, with a very cool effect, by the way. Actually, they did not die in the Apocrypha. They were assimilated.
You fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
That, I don't know why, but that actually makes me angry.
Yes, we learned that in some Star Trek book.
It's okay, everybody. They're just Borg now.
Right. Perhaps a fate worse than death. But really cool miniature work there.
Yeah, the cross section coming out.
Dan did an amazing job with that.
They're miniatures, but they take a big effort.
That's right. And one thing I didn't appreciate, which I think we've seen before, is that stupid ship flinging effect.
From when Q transports them around?
Yeah. Which I think it's got to be exclusive to the new Blu-ray. That was absolutely CGI.
Yeah.
It looks so stupid.
What's funny about it is that it's completely unnecessary, because Q can transport matter literally instantly. It doesn't need to actually travel. So why does the ship need to travel other than to establish that it's moving? Because unlike with people, when they move across the room, you can see it. The ship just moves through space. Oh, I didn't notice. As the viewer.
Right.
So it's ridiculous because people are stupid.
That's
Audience
right.
is stupid.
Star Trek fans are stupid.
Or murderers.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of stupid murderers too.
Those are the ones that get caught. You ever hear about Albert Fish?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was not a stupid murderer.
He was not.
He was as cunning as he was ruthless.
He was very prolific.
Indeed. And a sadomasochist.
I think we'd be remiss, while we're talking about the crosscut of the Enterprise, if we didn't mention Michael here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a key scene for Michael in this episode. Not for plot significance, but for amount of work put in. The ratio of work put into length of screen time is insanely off in favor of the former. This was an all-night endeavor. So you probably don't remember this scene in the audience because it's so insignificant. What happens is that the Borg cut out a cross section of the ship, and Worf, Michael, has to say the line, "A type of laser beam is slicing into the saucer section," which has a run-on of alliterative S's at the end there. Slicing into the saucer section.
Slicing into the saucer section.
Slicing into the saucer. And this was apparently just too much for Michael, who would trip over his words a lot inside the shot while we were trying to get it. And originally, everybody was in the shot. It's just like this Worf's in the back of the console, and he says this. But he was taking so long. It's like 20 takes. It was unreal. So what we ended up doing is we just moved on ahead, and we decided to film that night with just Michael. We'd bring the camera in closer, frame it a lot more tightly, and he'd be the only one in the shot, so we could kind of film it at his leisure.
Right.
It was like 3 or 4 in the morning when we finished, when we finally got it. And, shooting wasn't going to stop the next day. We had to get right back to it. So Michael just went and took a nap in the Worf makeup. There wasn't time to take it off and reapply it.
Right.
Real pro.
Yeah. His inability to act notwithstanding.
Right. In that ways, he was quite the amateur, but in other ways, he was a professional.
Yes.
A consummate professional.
But it just goes to show, how much work goes on behind the scenes for the silliest things,
Yeah. 2 seconds of screen time that nobody remembers. Actually,
right.
8 hours of work.
Speaking of which, I love the scene in the meeting room where Q teleports away and the chair spins.
I like to think that was intentional by Q. Like,
yeah.
He just wanted it to spin.
Yeah, I loved that. That was just like they didn't need to do that at all, but they did.
Do you remember Craig?
Craig,
yeah, the producer's son. He was just touring the set that day, and he wanted to I want to help TNG. I want to be part of a production crew. So we're like, all right, Craig. When we say now, I need you to spin this chair really fast.
Oh.
And he was so excited that he was able to work on television.
Right.
He was like, I don't know,
wow.
9, 8 years old at the time.
Yeah.
But if you check, he got a special thanks credit at the end.
Oh, okay.
And since you can go back and look at the credits there.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah.
Where was I?
I think you were still, tending to Brent in one of his, I don't want to say meltdowns, but...
Oh. Yeah, well, it was an issue of... Look, Brent plays an android, of course. And he felt a certain way about the introduction of kind of a more advanced race of androids to the show. He thought it was going to make his character obsolete to a degree. He thought he was special, that kind of thing. Because up to that point, he was the one who basically resolved every plot point, like a Deus Ex Machina. If we're not counting Wesley.
They're right up there with each other.
Yeah. So one day he just starts breaking down, and I'm talking ugly crying, makeup just streaming down his face. And so someone had to take him to the other room and sort it out somehow.
It's always tough consoling Brent because you can't talk up his strengths to make him feel better because he doesn't really have any. You can't be like, oh, Brent, don't worry, you're so funny. You just can't say that.
He's unpredictable, too. I mean, 1 second he'll be like, he'll stop and kind of brighten up and start seeming like he's okay, and then the next second it's just an immediate reversion back to the breakdown.
Yeah.
But luckily nothing really happened in that vein. We only got like 5 Borg episodes, so it was okay.
Yeah, and how many, episodes did Brent appear in? More than 5, almost assuredly.
Definitely more than 5.
Yeah. So good for him. I hope he's found some peace now.
I'm sure he has. I hope he's resting in peace. I found this line incredibly abstract and incredibly arbitrary. Where I think it's Data who says while they're on the Borg ship that the Borg are no longer reading as separate life forms when they're hooked into their little pods.
Yeah, that's weird.
How would you even detect that?
I don't know, and arbitrary is a really good way to describe it because that has no bearing on the plot.
Well, they do scan the ship and say, "Oh, there's no life forms aboard," but I don't know if that's. You're right. I guess that does have no bearing. I guess it's like a little mystery, but no one cares.
Right. It's a little mystery that's solved in 5 minutes later on.
Right.
Yeah, because what exactly are their scanners scanning for? Independent thought?
Right. Right. And the Borg are still biological to a degree. They don't just stop being that when they hook up to the machine.
The babies barely have implants at all in there. They would have picked them up.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You like the little Borg babies?
Captain, I'm seeing 5 babies on scanner.
Now, is that Worf or Sean Connery?
A little bit of both.
So
Worf is written for Sean Connery. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was supposed to be kind of an older, kind of grizzled, sort of crew member, but I don't know. It just never panned out.
Then grizzled became black.
Yes. We had quotas to fill.
Indeed.
I find it speaking of the baby thing. I find it ridiculous that in the setting of Star Trek: The Next Generation, that the away team has to describe to the bridge what they see instead of just having something that can like film it.
Do you remember that this was the central plot point of an episode?
No.
There was some episode where I think it's Geordi. It's either Geordi's visor or Data.
Oh yes, that's right.
They like hook it up to transmit the visual of the away team, and it starts seeing like ghosts or something. I don't remember exactly what the episode was, but it's like, wow, transmission of video. It's our brand new technology.
And we probably discussed this back there. In fact, I probably defended it, but it's a little weird.
This is also in the universe where the ship can, whatever visual device it has can see things like thousands and thousands of kilometers away with perfect clarity. Right.
I also found it a little odd that several dozens of minutes into the show, Picard was still kind of saying like, okay, how do we reason with the Borg? Despite kind of seeing one face to face, and seeing that they can't be reasoned with. Maybe a nitpick.
No, I mean,
seems out of character for Picard to not notice that kind of thing.
Right. I mean, it is in character for Picard to default to diplomacy, but he's not like an idiot about it, or he shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I don't know. Trying to think. I kind of covered everything I wanted to say on this episode.
We've basically gotten everything we can out of this.
We gotta watch fewer good episodes. The podcast will have in length.
I do have one more behind the scenes anecdote.
Well, that's the whole reason we're here.
Right. So, we're just gonna have to come up with more stories for the ensigns.
Remember more stories. We're gonna have to remember more stories.
Yes, of course. Yes. Remember, of course. So yeah, unfortunately, this episode marked the demise of the director's wheelchair.
An old favorite.
Yeah, we had a bit of an incident on set. So normally the phasers we used, they were either non-functioning props, or they were configured to shoot these just harmless beams of light, right?
Right.
So third or fourth day of shooting, we were doing that encounter with the Borg drone in engineering, and we have the ensign security character, of course, shooting the Borg, which obviously didn't make it into the final cut. This was this is what the script called for initially. So he goes to shoot the Borg, and imagine our surprise when the phaser actually shot out a proper beam of rapid nadion that just burned a hole straight through the back of the wheelchair, just the base, like right underneath Rob, just like narrowly missing him.
It was the luckiest life-saving moment I've ever seen. It's just
unbelievable.
A few inches.
Yeah. And so turns out the prop master was sick that day. And hierarchy would dictate that the fishmaster is supposed to take on his duties while he's away. So the fishmaster, ironically, forgot to remove the Fushigi no Umi from the phasers, which is what caused the incident to begin with. But naturally, no one was punished for this.
Not in Hollywood, no.
No. That would be silly.
I always said that if people just took the time to learn proper phaser regulations.
Yeah.
If everyone did, don't just make it one person's responsibility.
Right. Well, yeah, there were plenty of people arguing that, the person holding the phaser is the one who's responsible for any discharge, right?
Right.
Now, luckily it was kind of all for naught.
I tried that defense when I was trying to get cleared of my child support, but it didn't really work.
Yeah. Well, what can I say? Well, the courts are a bitch, Mitch.
Right. And it turns out you're always responsible for your own discharge.
Yeah.
Now I'm sad.
So what? Final thoughts. Final thoughts on this episode.
It's great. It's top 2, 3, 1 episodes that we've seen so far. I don't really know what would be better than it. Can you think of a better episode we've watched?
Honestly, no. I think this is the best one so far. I think other episodes may have had elements that were more interesting, but in execution didn't really do so well. This is, I think, the first episode, maybe not the first, but the best episode that has had kind of both a solid concept and a solid execution.
Yeah,
all the way through. I
want to stress that I don't like this episode just because it's the Borg and I like the Borg. It's right. It's a very solid piece of writing, no matter what you had made the antagonist, and obviously the Borg being a thrilling concept helps this, but it survives on a lot more than just their strength.
Yes, absolutely, I agree. It could have really been anything. So it didn't need to be the Borg. But yes, I 100% agree. This was a great episode. So little to say about it because it was so good.
Right. We don't come here to praise Star Trek.
No, not at all. But really just great character moments that are kind of going to echo throughout the rest of the series. Great world building. Lots of things that are going to be followed up on here. For possibly the first time in the series. So
I guess Q would be that as well. A recurring element built upon.
Yeah. It's just like I said, I think this is kind of where the character finds his stride in his relationship with the rest of the with the crew.
Q's much better as a I don't quite know how to describe him, but not an antagonist.
Yeah, more of a force of nature kind of thing.
Right. which, is also Delancey in real life.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have a trivia question for me?
I do. Hold on. So, who is our ensign this episode?
Gomez.
Ensign Gomez. So she shows up in Lower Decks, and we need to mention Lower Decks at any possible opportunity.
It is the most progressive of the Trek.
It is. I mean, it's honestly, you could throw out the rest of Trek right now and just keep Lower Decks, and that's all we need.
Right, just eliminate Star Trek from the title. Just Lower Decks.
Just Lower Decks. Yes. Oh, that's perfect.
LD for short.
LD. Yep. What rank does she have in Lower Decks?
I am this close to just rattling off Captain. This close.
Uh-huh.
And I'm gonna do it, Captain.
Captain, it is.
Yes. Oh my god.
Captain, it is. Oh my god. Okay, what was the ship she was assigned to?
There's no way it's the Enterprise.
No.
And the Stargazer is Picard's old ship that was probably destroyed or bought by Ferengi, whatever happened to it. So I'm going through the ships that I know. Okay.
I'll give you a hint, okay?
Okay.
Named after a Greek philosopher / mathematician.
The Archimedes.
Yes!
Holy shit!
Wow, Mitch, good job.
This is truly a red letter day. Between this and the quality of the episode, holy shit.
Congratulations. Wow, Captain Gomez of the USS Archimedes.
Feeling good. I'm feeling really good.
There you have it, yeah. Good job. 9. I'm proud of you.
Do not give a shit about Lower Decks, but yeah. This is good. Of course that's what they do. Oh, this is fucking Star Wars all over again. It's like, oh, this one character who was in 2 episodes and had a cumulative 15 lines. Oh, they're the captain now. Well,
she did appear in she was like the main character of some book series.
I think that was erotic fan fiction.
It's the Starfleet Corps of Engineers. Someone else showed up in this too that we were talking about.
I do remember you saying this.
The Vulcan doctor girl, I think.
Oh fuck! I forgot about that. But she wasn't an engineer; she was a doctor. Well, I don't know. Now, is it core like CORE or CORPS?
CORPS, yeah.
I see.
Maybe I was wrong about that. Oh well, I don't know.
But you've definitely said that before. It's come up.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about the Starfleet Engineering Corps or something.
Yeah. Oh well. All right. Well, it sounds like with my victory capping off things, it's gonna do it for this episode.
I guess so.
Yeah. It was a less exciting episode than we've ever had, based on our complete agreement on positivity for the episode.
Yeah. Well, next episode I'll be sure to hate for you, or like if you hate it.
Well, whatever I say, just say the exact opposite.
Yeah. We'll get a good episode next time.
Yeah, we'll keep trying.
Yeah.
So join us then for some actual good content, and until then, everybody, please stay ready.
The troublesome little man-child.
Consider that in the history of many worlds, there have always been disposable creatures.
Do you consider yourself superior to us?
Should have told him to mind his own damn business.
When I stroke the beard thusly, do I not appear more intellectual?
Computer, freeze program.
promising beginning.